Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan with the Laundromat Resource Podcast, and I'm pumped that you are here today. Back from a couple week hiatus for the holidays. Super excited to be here. Got a stunner of an episode with Evan Papson today. We get into all kinds of stuff, like how he grew his pickup and delivery business, how he went from buying a store where the owner was there all the time and transitioning to where he's not there all the time. That could be tricky to navigate. So super excited about this episode. Evan is a champ. We did this episode a couple different times because we ran into some technical difficulties, and he hung in there for you to bring you his story, but also a lot of very cool and very practical tips to help you grow your business. So hope you guys enjoy it. You know what? I don't even hope you enjoy it. I know you're going to enjoy it because Evan is the man. Huge shout out to him for coming on and doing that for us. And listen, I'll check in with you on the back end. But real quick, before we jump into it with Evan, here is a quick word from our sponsor.
Hello again, Laundromat owners. It's John here with Business Marketing Resource. Are you looking to elevate your business? Here's a quick marketing tip that could set you apart. Offer a loyalty program. Customers love feeling rewarded for their loyalty. A simple punch card that offers a free wash after 10 visits or a discount after spending a certain amount can keep them coming back. And it's only a small gesture, but it builds customer loyalty and encourages repeat business. Plus, it's a great way to stand out from your competition. Now, if you're thinking about implementing this and more, Business Marketing Resource is here to support you. We specialize in helping laundromats grow through strategic marketing, professional branding, and tailored website design. Our goal is to help you to attract and retain more customers, making your laundromat the go-to place in your community. When you're ready for the next step, visit us at buildwithbmr.com today, and let's make your laundromat a customer favorite.
All right, Evan, man, I'm super excited to be sitting here with you, getting ready to talk laundromats. There's nothing that I am more excited about than talking laundromats. So thanks for taking some time and coming on to share about your experience. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you. How are you? Good.
I'm doing excellent right now. This is cool. This is actually like our third take on this, due to some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
But what do they say, man? Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm, right?
Third time's a charm. That's what I'm talking about. Well, dude, why don't you give us who are you? Like, give us a little background on you and set the stage there, and then let's talk about how you got into this business.
Sure. I mean, my name's Evan. I'm, I live in the Northeast. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, and I spent most of my life here, and I don't know, I just went to, the regular path, went to school, got a job. I ended up getting a job in a trade union up here in Boston. And I just knew that I wanted to, invest my money and try to, make the most out of it. I spent a long time. I spent a lot of my mid to late 20s and early 30s just, not really concerning myself with my future. And then, you wake up one day and you're older. So, at first I had bought a couple of apartments in a little south of Boston, and COVID hit, and I was looking to maybe try to, buy another property, but I think the market just wasn't really good, and I got into, just looking at other avenues of where to invest my money, and I got really interested in laundromats. I mean, it just seemed, people kind of group laundromats together with like car washes and storage places as like, and the idea of it is that it's, you don't have to be involved as much, and you can just kind of collect quarters, which obviously I found out later, that's not the case, but,
What?
But maybe, but, not the store I have,
Yeah.
And, and so I decided I wanted to, to buy a laundromat, and I first started off, Laundromat Resource was the first place I found online. And I watched your 3 videos on, steps to take and where to find them and what to do. And I did that. I signed up to Biz Buy Sell to get notifications of stores in the area. I wrote letters. I wanted to buy something that was relatively close to my home. So I found out, every laundromat within like a 30-minute drive from my house. And I wrote letters of intent or letters of interest to buy. And I sent those out. And I started just, signing NDAs and getting the store's information. So whether I was going to buy it or not, just so I can get used to looking at plus losses and all that stuff. And, through doing that, I had formed relationships that, eventually later on led to, me getting the store I got. I mean, it was about a year from start to finish of me purchasing a store. But I mean, it was just, it sounded like a good idea to me, and it was a good investment, and it sounded like a good challenge as well. So I don't know. Here I am, and I got a laundromat. So
that's right. And here you are on the biggest podcast in life.
I think I had told you I listened to every episode in my truck on the way to work, and it's a wealth of information.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
I never imagined one day I'd be on it.
Oh yeah, dream come true, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, but genuinely, huge thanks and shout out to everybody who's been on, including you now, who I hear stories like that all the time, right? And I get a lot of the people saying thanks for the podcast, but really, listen, just to let you behind the curtain a little bit, I hear about it when I talk too much on this podcast. People don't like to hear from me. They want to hear from you and the other guests. Sure. So huge thanks to you guys for coming on and just sharing your experiences. And that's what it's all about, right? That's what makes the podcast so great. It's not my slow talking and long-windedness. It's you guys sharing the real stuff.
Yeah, it is. And I think, it's like everything. There's a smaller community, like once you get involved with the laundromat, I was telling you earlier, I know the guy who owns the laundromat closer to my house, even though my store is a half hour away, and you get online and you see the same people and the online communities, and it's a good community to be part of, and it's a good community, to have there, make contacts, and then be able to lean on, whether you're, looking for a store or you own a store, you're looking for your second or third, or you want to get out, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you're just hearing your story, like this sounds really dumb. It sounds like I'm like making this up, but I'm not. And this is maybe just sad on my part, but I get really excited when I hear your story because, one of the things I tell people, it's really hard right now to find laundromat deals a lot of time. Not everywhere. Some people, they just find it right away, but a lot of people are just struggling to find those deals right now. And, one thing that I have been telling people is, there's a process you go about. There's a system that you work through to get a laundromat deal, especially if it doesn't just fall in your lap, right? Sure. And if you work the system will work. And it sounds like you worked the system, you sent out the letters, you did, talk to owners, talk to brokers, all that stuff. You worked the system, and it took a while. You said a year, right? Just about.
Yeah.
It took a while, but you did the process, right? You went through the process, and another thing that I talk about a lot is you need to analyze a lot of deals so that you understand what you're doing. For one, you understand what you're looking at, but then when a good deal comes your way, you're going to recognize it because you've already looked at a bunch of deals and you did that. And for me, why it excites me is it's just more confirmation that all of this is true. You just got to work the system, and it takes some time, but if you just keep doing it, you will find the deal. It'll happen.
Sure. And, there were times where I thought, nothing was happening. It went stale. I was getting no emails and notifications of stores on the market. Nobody was returning my letters of interest. But, through being proactive and asking about stores and analyzing the deals, I met a gentleman who I didn't know it at the time. He took a half hour to talk to me on the phone, and I didn't know it at the time. But about 5 or 6 months after I met him, he was going to be the one who was going to bring the deal to me. That was going to be the store that I bought. And if I, wasn't doing those things, I never would have made that relationship. So you never know when you're doing something that might lead to you getting a store later down the line, whether it's making that relationship or sending out that letter that's going to get returned or whatever it is. So, I think if you're right, if you're persistent about it, and I did. There was a store I put an offer in on. I put in the asking price offer, and I didn't get it because I didn't own the laundromat. The guy who owned the strip mall wanted somebody in there who had laundromat experience as a tenant, so he wound up going with someone else. And then, there were other deals where there were just red flags in the plus losses. There were, items weren't there that should be there, and obviously, they were hiding something, and I was able to walk away from that, but also I think, you got to not be afraid to walk away from a deal that doesn't feel right. But then if something does come along, I mean, there's risk with anything, but, you do your due diligence, and if it makes sense, you just kind of got to go for it. And so far it's been good for me, but
yeah, no, well, dude, it just brings tears to my eyes, like to hear genuinely, not really, I'm not crying. There's onions being cut or whatever. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I mean, it does make me happy to hear that, like that you were able to stick through that. I know that there are periods of time where it just feels like nothing's happening and you're done. But sometimes it is those early on efforts. And I just saw like a clip. I think it was Tom Bilyeu who he said, or maybe Jesse Itzler, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, but one of those guys, I think, said something along the lines of like, it's not going to be probably a big deal that comes your way or something like that that's going to change your life. It's going to be, you're going to meet somebody at some point in time, and unbeknownst to you, they're going to change your life, right? And that's happened to me multiple times. I mean, it sounds like that's kind of what happened to you, right? Is like you met a guy, and then 6 months later, now here's the laundromat from this guy, right? Like, and you can't have that happen unless you go out there and work the system and start meeting people and letting people know what you're looking for, right? And that's what it takes in this market today to be able to get a deal on a laundromat or real estate or whatever it is that you're trying to do right now. But dude, kudos to you for getting after it.
Yeah. And I think you gotta, in the beginning, there's a level of excitement, I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to buy a laundromat, and then, that fades away. But, you just got to keep your hopes up. And I know for me, I love talking about it. Like, I would talk to anybody who listened, I'm going to buy a laundromat. And I'm sure a lot of these people thought I was just blowing smoke, but I'm like, I'm going to do it, and I would talk about it with anyone who would listen. And I kept listening to the podcast, and that kept me, that kind of kept the fire alive in the Facebook groups and talking to other people. And then, and as they say, the rest is history. So, yeah, I mean, it's like anything, you're going to get out of it the effort you put in. But I truly believe if you follow the path, the good things will come, so. Yeah.
Okay. So you went through that whole process, and this guy brought you, it was his laundromat that he was selling?
Well, no. Yeah. So he was a broker. His name is John Badowski. He owns a brokerage company out of Connecticut. I had called him about a listing he had, and he told me, listen, this store is not for you. It's too far from your house. And then we just stayed on the phone, and he was just asking me questions, and we kind of hit it off. And he said, if you ever need anything, give me a ring. And I had stayed in touch with him, and he got the listing from the seller. So he emailed me. I got an email one Friday morning. I was going to get a haircut. He said, hey, how far is this laundromat from your house? And I Googled it, and I said, it's 25 minutes. He says, well, it looks like a really good store. If you want, go check it out. I'm going to put it on the website tonight, but, go check it out. And that was a Friday. And I think, I went there Friday, I went there Saturday, I went there Sunday, and I saw, where it was, the neighborhood it was in, the people that were there. And by Sunday night, we had an offer locked in. So it happened quick.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So, well, I'm curious for you. I mean, I have like a theory here, but I'm curious for you, like, how were you able to make an offer in 3 days? Because I talk to a lot of people that are like, they want to have all these questions answered and have, a very full understanding of the business before they make their offer. How were you able to go from like Friday to Sunday?
I took the information provided to me, right? And I went there and I saw the volume, right? So he wasn't advertising a terrible amount of wash and fold. And I saw his machines were new. He was going to be the landlord of the place as well. He owns the building. It's a mixed-use building with apartments upstairs. And I knew the location. And, the numbers he was saying made sense and correlated with the asking price. And I learned this from getting into real estate, right? Like, I can make an offer. If I find out through that due diligence period that this is not adding up, I can walk away. But if someone else comes in and makes an offer and locks that down, then I don't have that opportunity to go in there and do the due diligence, and say, hey, wait a minute, you're not doing the amount of wash and fold you advertised. I want money off. Or there's these extra bills you didn't, I want, something off. Or, I always had the opportunity to walk away. We got a signed offer. That just meant that, he wasn't able to talk to any other buyers, but he still had to prove that what he gave me as representation of the business was accurate, or I could walk away, So, I mean, that's how I kind of dealt with, buying the real estate. And at the time I was getting it was crazy that all these houses were going for above asking price because interest rates were so low. And it was like, you kind of just had to go in there and make an offer and then hope everything was right. Otherwise, walk away. So, the broker was very good. He made sure to tell me, that this is the offer based on the store doing what he says. You can take as much time as you want to verify that. And if it's not the case, you can pull out. So, I mean, that's how I did it,
The reason I asked you that is because I'm going to cut this clip out right here. And I've got about 4 coaching clients I'm going to send this to, because this is what I've been saying, right? Is like, especially in this market right now. And this, I know this was like a little bit ago, not too long ago, but a little bit ago before things got real crazy, I think, or maybe right around when they started to. But, right now, if you find a deal, you've got to pounce on it and verify it later, because just like you said, if somebody else comes and makes that offer, it's gone. It's off the table. It's done.
Sure.
But if you make that offer, you've got the opportunity to get in there, do your full due diligence, renegotiate if necessary, and you've got the option now to be able to do that. Now, you don't want to abuse that and tie up a whole bunch of laundromats and then walk away from all. You'll get a reputation. Well, like you said, this is not a big industry, right? You'll get a reputation. But if you're genuine about wanting to buy it and you think this might be one that's going to fit your criteria, you got to move quick on these things right now.
And for the most part, he was pretty, the numbers were pretty accurate. I mean, he was a fully cash store when I got it. So what I did was I went in there, I showed up on a Monday and I sat there every hour it was open with a notebook. I didn't rely on, he didn't want to give me access to the cameras because of, they were tied into his whole property, but I went there every single hour it was open. I spent, a few hundred hours in this store, and I counted the customers. I saw the washes. I did coin counts. There were a few things off. Like I said, he wasn't doing the wash and fold that was advertised. I mean, there were reasons, whether I found them valid or not. I mean, he had lost an employee. He had lost the woman who was running the store. He recently had surgery. Those were the reasons he was selling, and the reasons he was saying, hey, I can't take wash and fold. So there was that issue, and then there were a few bills or expenses that weren't listed. The heat and hot water was run on oil, and he didn't have that listed. So I came to the table and I said, hey, I got to fill the oil tank every month or every other month. And we came to an agreement on that, and I think everybody walked away, happy, and it was a good deal. And so far, I've only had it for about 8 months now, but it's been everything. Everything he advertised it was. So, I mean, I'm happy, but
that's awesome. I mean, yeah that's great. Well, out of curiosity, real quick, I wanted to go back to you moving quickly. I would probably guess also that another reason you felt like you could move quickly is because of all that other stuff that you did leading up to that point where you had analyzed a whole bunch of laundromats and you've looked at a bunch of stuff. So you're familiar with all that stuff too, right? So it can feel like nothing's happening. It can feel like you're wasting your time sometimes when you're 6 months in and you don't have a deal yet. But all that is laying the groundwork for when that deal comes around, you can act quickly because you also have that confidence from looking at all those deals and talking to all those people you talk to. Be my guess. Yeah. I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah, you get used to, you get an idea of the market. Obviously the market and the multiple they're selling at is different, I guess, probably maybe in every area. I only know what my market is, and you get used to seeing what the expenses should be. Why is this guy not listing wash, dry, fold supplies as an expense? Why is he, not listing this? Or how is he making so much on vending when everyone else is, it's just like, you get to see it, so you get to know. And then, when all the pieces are there and the price is right, it gives you more confidence to go in and make that offer. And, I mean, at that time, I was kind of just driven by, I don't know, I knew what I was doing, but it was kind of all just happening so fast. Yeah. And, I had other people in the industry like I had said, I know the laundromat owner down the street who I was able to talk to and say like, hey, how does this look? Does this look all right? And, the broker and all that, and kind of gave me more reassurance. So,
yeah, it's huge. And, having that outside kind of experienced opinion, especially when you're going through your first deal, is invaluable, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you don't know what you don't know. Even if you have looked at, 100 other laundromats beforehand, you don't know what you don't know. And so having somebody who's seen and done it before, that's huge. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Not to be.
And it's, it's a little scary, like going into it, it's like, am I really going to do this? Am I going to put up, this large amount of money? Am I going to sign a lease for X amount of years? And then am I going to commit to, running the store through the good and the bad? It's a big, for me, it was a big commitment. It was a little scary, but I mean, I had good people around me who were there to help and offer help and support. So, I mean, it's good. You got to take chances. You got to, that's my belief. Anytime I've taken a chance, when I've done the due diligence, it's worked out for me. When I take stupid chances, they don't. But when I do my homework, they generally work out.
Yeah, but the stupid chances are fun.
But I'm trying to put those behind me. So
yeah, I know my stupid chances days are long behind me. Sadly, you got kids and stuff, and you gotta mature up. I guess I don't know.
Yeah,
it's lame. It's boring. No, just kidding. Okay, so do you remember how long your due diligence phase was? How long did you do due diligence?
I was in the store with him, I'd say 3 weeks. I was in there every hour it was open, and it was a long 3 weeks. I took a little break here and there. I left early sometimes. And then, by the end of the third week, I said, listen, this is where we're at. This is what I see. We're really close. If you want, I'll give you this amount for the store. I think it's a fair offer, and we'll seal this up, and we'll send the paperwork in, and we'll start doing the closing. And he said, yeah, that's fine. So I did about 3 works of due diligence, but my due diligence was spending every single hour. The store was, spending 60, 70 hours a week in the store. I was fortunate enough, I took time off my regular job to do this, so I had the time. And I was comfortable with, it's a neighborhood store, it's in the middle of a neighborhood in Boston called Dorchester. And I got to talk to the people in there, and everybody had great things to say. Oh, it's busy. It's a good store. It's been in the neighborhood. But not to mention, the store was in the neighborhood with 2 owners for 50 years. So it must have done, be doing something right. So I don't know if the word you would use is staple, but it's part of the community. So I got to know the community. Everybody kind of helped alleviate fears that it was, it was a dying store or anything like that, or it wasn't a popular place. And I knew when I got in, I would be able to do the things I wanted, clean it up, update the signage, give them the opportunity to pay with credit card or EBT benefits through a laundry work system, computerize the wash, dry, fold so they get, notifications when it's done and all that stuff. And I thought I could go in there and make it better. The gentleman running it was older, retirement age. He'd been doing it for a long time. I know he was tired, so needed an uplift, and I thought that would help too, and it did. I could see the business, growing, a little bit week by week.
Yeah. So you added a card system.
Yeah, I added. So he was all cash and change machines, quarter machines and quarter boxes, and I learned real quick that was not going to be good for me. The boxes needed to be emptied, depending on how busy, every 2 or 3 days. I was getting calls, they can't use this machine because it's not taking any quarters. The change machine lights were going on. We can't use the 1020 change machine isn't working. Quarters constantly getting jammed in the receptacle while they're trying to load the machine. I mean, they're putting foreign money and everything, and I was driving me insane. And so I did. I added LaundryWorks, which gave them the opportunity to, instead of feeding cash into a change machine and getting quarters, the majority of people still use cash. They just load their laundry card. But like I said, my larger machines are $11, so it cuts down on the time of people dropping $11 in quarters in there. And also, like I said, it gives them the opportunity to use EBT benefits, credit debit, and all that, and it saves time. The wash, dry, fold was by hand slip. Someone came in and he just filled out a hand slip, and then he gave it to him, and that was it. I I settled on Clean Cloud. I put in 2 different point of sale stations, one at retail and one at our counter where the scale is for the wash, dry, fold. So the people come in, if we know their name, we can pull it right up, or their phone number. It pulls up all their information. They're able to, accrue discounts depending on how much wash, dry, fold they use, money towards it or percentages off. And they get, a message when it's done. They get a real receipt. And it helps me as an owner track everything, because it's really hard when everything is all cash and handwritten papers to track a business, and want to be absentee. It was one thing for him because he was there all the time. He's owned it for so long. He owns the building. It was like he wasn't really concerned with, I don't want to say how good the business was doing, but it was kind of like, it does what it does and that's it. But, I wanted to bring it up to date because I was seeing people come in asking if they could pay with their credit card to do laundry. And when I said no, I was seeing them walk out, mostly younger people. So yeah, I put the LaundryWorks in. I installed it all myself, and it's been great. It gives me the ability to track exactly what's going on in the store, whether I'm there or not. So I love it, and the customers love it too. So.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So, I hear a lot of people that have fear of going from a all coin store to an all card store. Because you're not taking coins at all anymore?
I was and I had that fear. So me and the gentleman who sold me the system at Laundryworks, his name is Oleg. We had talked about him before. I was adamant. I want to be coin and card. I don't want to rob them of the process of being able to come in with all their quarters and load it up. But, after I thought about it a while, it was like I went all card. But the thing is that they just, they come in once with their bag of quarters, and we change it for bills for them the first time. And then they know that their bills just go in a different machine than the change machine and loads of value on the card. And it's not, people who don't have credit and debit, you can still walk in with cash and get your laundry done. And, so it really was a no-brainer when I thought about it. And I'm so glad I did. And the people love it. The people absolutely love it. And they appreciate that kind of upgrade, because it's a substantial investment. As far as after buying the store, and they appreciate it. It helps them get in and out quicker. And you can do little things, they register the card. So if they lose it, they can get it back with all their money on it. You can, we give away, $20 here, $5 every Sunday to a random person who's registered. And plus there's the reoccurring customer, I think as long as they have my laundry card, hopefully they'll come back,
Yep.
So it was good for me. It was good. I had the same fear. I didn't want to get out of coin and just go to a card system, but it worked,
Did you get much negative feedback from customers? I think when I've heard people who've gotten negative feedback, usually it's from like older customers.
It is, yeah.
Typically. So I'm curious, did you get much negative feedback when you went to the card?
I had people who didn't want me to change. I had asked some of my regular customers beforehand, hey, I'm thinking about going to this. Some of them didn't like it because then people just don't like change. Some people. Yeah. Not change quarters, but change.
Right. They like change, but not change.
But, but no, I didn't get much negative feedback. The people would come in with their quarters and then look at the machine baffled because there's nowhere to put them. And then, once they got over, we made sure to change out everybody's quarters for bills that, we're probably still doing it. But, we have an attendant there, so they show them how to use it. And once they use the system and see how easy it actually is, there was not really much negative feedback at all. I'm actually in the process of putting an extra reader at my retail station because we sell a lot of detergent laundry bags, and I'm going to give them the option to pay for that stuff with their LaundryWorks card. People are actually asking, hey, how can I pay for more stuff on this card in this store?
Help always pays off to help people figure out how to give you more money. That's smart business right there. Smart business. What about when you transitioned from the order slip on pickup or drop off laundry to the software system? I'm sure the customers were great with it and fine. They got more communication, all that. Where I've seen some people have some pushback or difficulty in making that transition is with employees and teaching employees how to use it, or employees being like, I can't use a computer, or pushing back on it. How was that transition for you on the employee side?
Honestly, it wasn't bad. We're not a huge store. So we only have, 3 or 4 probably 4 or 5 employees between family and friends and employees. And they were quick to pick it up. I mean, everybody has a phone now in their pocket. Everybody has a computer in their pocket. So they have some kind of general knowledge. And I simplified it. You could, with that system, you can do a lot. You can show which washer their clothes are being washed in. You can show when it's moved to the dryer. You can show when it's being folded. Or you can cut a lot of the fluff out. Like, people come in, here's my name, here's my phone number. They get to see us enter the weight, on the computer, prints out their receipt, and then it shows it as being processed. And then when it's done, we click a button, they get a text. It moves into ready to be picked up, and that's it. And it's really, it does the math for the weight, for the poundage for you. And, there's no calculator there, like, employees doing it out. So, I mean, there was a few questions about it, but I tried to get rid of all the fluff and make that system as basic as possible. And the employees picked it up, fairly quick. Has been my experience now. I mean, maybe if you have a bunch of stores and, dozens of employees and you're trying to incorporate it all at once through multiple stores, it's probably a lot. But for my smaller store, it was, it went in pretty well.
Awesome. Another question that kind of popped up is, you mentioned that the previous owner was there a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so, and you're not there all the time, right? You're working.
Yeah, no, that's correct. I have another job.
Yeah. So how was that because I think also there's a fear. Some people have a fear of going to a store like that where, thinking maybe the customers are, they've bonded with that owner, and when there's no owner there, they drift away or, anything. Yeah. Was there any transitional stuff like that to where you're not there all the time anymore?
No, not that I saw. I kept the name the same, so it's still named after the previous owner of the store. I was there personally in the beginning. After I purchased the store, I was doing all the work. I was there while it was open, doing most of the shifts, me and my fiance and just her family, and then we slowly brought on people in. So it was a slower transition. I think people saw me in the store. They knew he was selling it, and then they saw, me working the store. Weekends, weekdays, every hour it was open. And I think people were happy to see someone come in and clean it up and give it, the updates it deserved, because it really is, it's in the middle of a neighborhood of multifamily houses, and it's within walking distance to so many people that, like, this is where they're going to go do their laundry. So I think, a lot of people were happy to see someone come in and, give it an remake, new TVs, new signage, new paint, and, new options to pay. So I think that, when they saw the work we were putting into it, I think they were okay with it. They were happy with it.
Yeah, I think one of my, kind of more controversial takes that I have that I think a lot of people disagree with, but I think it's legitimate is, a lot of people will say, when I take over a store, I don't make any changes for 90 days or whatever. People fear change, that kind of thing. But what my perspective on it is people, yes, they fear change, but they're not really fearing change in my view. What they're fearing is negative impacts on their life due to change. Right. Sure. And so, for me, it's, I'm a fan of making changes early on in certain situations, right? Where sure. If you're improving things, if you're making things smoother for people, if you're making the experience better for people, making it more clean or more pleasant to be in the environment, or, whatever the case may be, I'm an advocate of making those changes. And yes, there's always going to be people who don't like whatever you do. It doesn't matter. Sure, yeah. I think that, making some of these changes, on the one hand, bold moves. Like you went from an all coin store and handheld tickets to bringing it to the modern day, right? Of an all card store and having, a software managing all that stuff and cleaning up the place and running it a little bit more like a business than it was being run before, which I think is awesome. I mean, how has that impacted the business from like when you started to now?
So very shortly after I bought the store, another laundromat down the street had a fire, and they're a very big store. So they're shut down, and they have been for a while. So I saw a real big surge in customers come in. So I'm still and they're still not opened yet. I think they're going to open around January. So I'm still in this phase of where the business is doing so well, like so much better than expected. But I know it's, when they reopen, people are going to go back, because it's another option. It's closer to home for some people.
Yeah.
But I think after I made so I knew when I went in the store, I wanted to adjust the pricing a little bit. So my point of view was like, let me make these changes I know I want to make, because these changes were not only for them, they were for me, right? Like I couldn't go on vacation as long as that store was run on quarters. Like, I can't disappear for 7 days. And so they were as much for me as the business owner as it was for them. So, I did all these changes and I ended up tweaking the price a little bit. And I think that, like I said, that the people really, appreciate it. The thing about putting all that stuff in was that it was as much a benefit as me as the owner to be able to have an idea and an accurate picture of what the store is doing, be able to see what machines are running even from the comfort of my own home than, always trying to guess. I would do it again. I have no regrets on that. But.
Yeah. Are you doing anything? This is like it's kind of like a best case, worst case scenario that, the bigger store down the street had a fire and you got this huge influx of customers. So you got this like run up, but I just knowing myself, right. I'm be like, dude, I'm so excited about this. But let's say, you're at I'll just make up numbers, right? Let's say you're at $10,000 of gross income a month. When you take over, this other store closes down and you jump up to like 18,000 and it reopens in January. It goes down to 13,000. I like just knowing myself, I'd be like, oh dude, what a huge loss. Instead of I just gained 3,000, net long-term, sure. I'd feel like a loss. But are you doing anything to prepare for when this store opens to try to fight for some of those customers or?
So that was another reason why I went with the LaundryWorks card system, right? Was because I wanted to give them a reason to stay. And I think as long as I put the laundry card, the idea is if they have a laundry card to my laundromat and there's money on it, most people walk out of the store and there's, $4, $5, whatever left on the card. It'll get them back. So that was one proactive step, I took into trying to get them back. And then I just try to do sales and we do, customer appreciation. And we try to do marketing on Facebook and it's so busy sometimes on the weekends in the store. Like even the employees, like people are waiting and every machine is spinning. It's like a madhouse in there. And I'm like, Jesus, I wish a third of these people would not, would be all right. But I'm nervous about what's going to happen, but I know, I bought the store and it was supposed to do X and it's doing X, it's doing that plus. And I'm confident that, when the other store reopens, it'll still at least do what I bought it for, and then I really have no complaints. And if I can retain some of the customers, then which I think I will, especially my weekday customers. I think they'll stay because it's not so busy. It's, the Sunday, Saturday, like 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. customers who all come when everybody's coming and there's no room in there to move. I think some of those people will be like, I'm going to go back to the other store. It's too crowded in here.
Yeah.
And I couldn't blame them for that. I'm going to try to remain positive and look at, the plus, not the loss.
Yeah. Look at the plus. That's what you should really be focusing on. I'm sure you're going to come out net ahead because of this too. And you hate to like see somebody else's business burn down and that part's negative, but
yeah.
You're benefiting from it a little bit too. So that's good.
They're a big chain. They've got stores in every town in the area. They do dry cleaning. I don't do dry cleaning. They do dry cleaning. They've got pickup and delivery vans. So they're a serious competitor, so,
yeah.
But if, I don't know if my prices will be stay cheaper than theirs. I'm not really sure, but I've got a pretty good lock on the neighborhood,
That's good.
So, that's all I can hope for.
Yeah.
And I'm cheaper wash, dry, fold by far. So,
well, maybe you should raise your prices.
I know I'm trying too slowly because I really, I think I'm too cheap on wash, dry, fold. I just don't want to shock them at once, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Do you have like a set, like, okay, here's the schedule. I'm going to raise price. Do you have like a plan on how you're going to raise them, or are you winging it?
I have an idea. I originally, when I bought the store, his already low price, I lowered it. And I hung a banner outside just to get people in, because as I said, he had been turning people away because he had no one to do it. And he was physically unable to do it. So I lowered the price, put a big banner up, got him in, brought it back to the original. I did another small increase. After Christmas, I plan on doing another one. You know, I have an idea where I want to get it, which is still competitive in the area because I've done, you know, I've called around and I've seen what people are charging. Mm-hmm. And, you know, because it's a lot of work. People bring in 100 pounds of laundry. It's a lot of work, you know, wash and dry and folding those clothes is demanding on the employees or whoever's going to process that laundry. So, I mean, I think, you know, even at the price I get it at would be a good deal for the people in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's a tricky one, right? We, as an industry as a whole, I've said this a lot of times, but we're not always the best at raising prices or having some sort of strategy behind that there. So, I mean, I think having an idea of where you're heading and a path to get there, I think that's the way to go.
Sure. For sure. I mean, I know where I want to be. So maybe every quarter, every 3 or 4 months, I'll add a dime, add 15 cents, then, you know, ease them and try not to shock them all at once.
Yeah. That's good.
Same idea with the machines, right?
That's right. How were the pricing for the machines when you took over? I mean, you mentioned you raised them a little bit, right?
I think very, very little. He wasn't charging for hot and warm water as an add-on. It was just the same whatever you did. So I had noticed in the area, everybody was charging, you know, a quarter or 50 cents extra. So I kept the base price the same, and I just added hot and warm as, you know, 25 cent, 50 cent add-on. And then I knocked off a minute on the dryers. So it was very little change. But as far as his laundromat pricing compared to things in the area, you know, he was right there with kind of where he was supposed to be. It's not like he was a lot cheaper, and I can come in and raise the prices to generate revenue that way. I think he was kind of, from what I saw, he was right where, about as high as he could be right now with the other stores where they were at, you know, which was, you know, I know you'd like to buy a store and see it, that you can go in there and you can, you know, add $1 to each machine or something like that. It wasn't the case, but with the business he was doing and the revenue it was generating, you know, it made sense.
Yeah, well, good. I mean, I think that's, you know, obviously huge win if you can just go right in and raise things $1. But I mean, I think that's pretty rare and pretty shocking for customers too, if you're jumping up that high. Not to say there's no scenarios where that happens, because it does. But I think that's pretty rare.
Well, yeah. My distributor was out and he was telling me my 45 pounds are too cheap, telling me I need to raise it $1.
Yeah.
And I said, maybe, but we'll do it slowly if we do, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if he knows, like, yeah, that's good. And all that's, you know, as we keep seeing prices on everything, or expenses, I guess, on everything for us increase, we've got to be strategic about raising prices, how we're going to do it, when we're going to do it. We've got to think through that stuff. Otherwise, we're going to get eaten alive by rising utilities, rising rents, rising labor costs, rising insurance costs, rising parts and machine costs, rising interest rates, rising everything, right? Like craziness. And if we're not strategic about it, we're going to get eaten alive for sure. And there are people, you know, who are going out of business because they've not kept up with the pricing.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you know, the energy and the water and all that stuff, it's gone up a lot recently, in recent years, you know. But and everything, the price of machines. And like you said, the price of parts. I mean, I try to find the parts on eBay or somewhere cheaper, because if I just go right to the distributor for the parts, you know, it's a lot, you know.
Yeah. Are you doing repairs yourself?
I am fortunate. I don't know if I want to say like I'm mechanically inclined, but I don't have any fears of going in there and doing some stuff myself, you know. So I change out, whether it was thermostats or, you know, whether it's opening the washing machines up and cleaning out the pipes, putting on a new display screen on the washer. The display screen went out. I changed a lot of my relays on my dryers are my dryers are about 6.5 years old. The relays are all seeming to go. So when the dryer cycle finishes, the relay doesn't go through to tell the motor to stop spinning. So the motor just keeps spinning. So, I mean, that's easy stuff. I haven't had any huge issues where I had to, take a whole machine apart. I bought the Laundromat system. I was promised it was something, anybody could install, and he was right. I installed it on myself. I wired it into the dryers. I mounted the thing on the wall. I ran all the cables. So I was fortunate that way. But if I had to call a mechanic for every little problem, it's a burdensome cost. It's definitely, I think the little things every laundromat owner should commit themselves to learning about the machine so they can do the little things,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it could be a huge savings, not just in, the labor of bringing in a mechanic, but also, I don't know about where you're at, but where I'm at and a lot of other people, we have difficulty finding, service technicians that can come out, when we need them to come out. So not only is it going to cost you a lot of money, but the machine might be down for 2, 3, 7+ days, waiting for that service technician to come out. And if it's a small problem that can be fixed fairly easily, man, it's worth either you or somebody on your staff knowing how to do that and being able to take care of that problem. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, I'm a smaller store, so it's not good to have out of order signs on the machines. Yeah.
Well, and especially if you're basically serving the market for 2 laundromats, too. So you got to keep those things pumping for sure. What I was going to ask you. On the drop off laundry, the wash, dry, fold stuff. How has that grown? Have you seen growth since the beginning? I know you're pretty early on still. Yeah. In the process, but are you seeing growth in that?
Yeah, I have. So like I said, when I got the store, he wasn't really doing much. He had just brought someone on, so he was not really processing much at all. I'd say, a couple 100 pounds a week, which is really not much. And when I got in there, I put a banner on the store. I let people know. I started doing, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, just, short money paid ads, flyers and stuff. And it slowly started to grow. And it eventually got to where it should be. Week after week, I saw it, it grow more and more. It's funny you ask now. So one of the reasons I went with Wash and Fold software was because they promoted a website that would allow me to do pickup and delivery. And he wasn't offering any pickup and delivery. So I said, well, let me try to get more Wash and Fold in here through pickup and delivery. And, my experience with that is not, I don't do a ton of pickup and delivery. I don't know if I can't get people to my website. There's so many. If you search Wash and Fold pickup and delivery around me, there are so many laundromats, and not even laundromats, just weird companies located in an office building that are middling the Wash and Fold that people can go with. So it's like, I just don't know how to get into my laundromat. I ran some ads and we do a little and we have some reoccurring customers, but it grew and it's where it's at now. I think whatever happens with the other store, I'll retain my wash, dry, fold customers because we are cheaper. Sure, I would like it to grow a little bit, but also being a small store, a lot of it comes in on the weekends and it's hard to get it done. It's if you've got, 500 pounds of wash and fold comes in on a Sunday and you've got all these machines going, it's very hard to get done. And it's a burden on the employees. It's nerve wracking. It's good. It's where I want it, but I would still try to grow it a little more. I wish more people would come in on the weekdays. I got to try to figure out, my fiance was saying, maybe you can offer an incentive to get people in on there, like, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with it. When it's slower in the store and it's easier to process, then
maybe you should raise your weekend prices and keep your weekday prices where they're at. And that's like one way. And then you could sort of raise, as you raise more, you could raise them kind of like that. But you could do a price raise during your busy time and incentivize people to come on the weekdays or something like that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I had just, I'm just now starting to figure out how to balance this, because last weekend was, another thing you can do with software when you have a software system, you have everyone's information, their phone numbers, their emails, and we ask them if they want to opt in. You're able to send out. So on Friday, I noticed the wash and fold was slow for the week. So I sent out, a mass text to everybody. Hey, we're having a blanket special for the fall, and bringing all other wash and fold is this. And within an hour, the wash and fold that came in the store was too much. So I think, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm looking into ways to try to drive it to the weekdays and giving them a break, or charging more on the weekends is definitely a possibility. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the way to do it, right? Is raise it on the weekends. The people who want it done on the weekends will still do it and they'll pay the price. And the people who want the cheaper price will just push off to the week. And if you're not seeing people push off, then just raise it again until you see people, you know what I mean? Like, then you'll know where the market is for it. But that text campaign, I think that was like a sleeper gold nugget right there. You just kind of glossed over it, but I think the text message marketing and email marketing are hugely overlooked in this business. I know a lot of people are doing more and more text messaging stuff through their software, which is huge. But having the ability to just drum up a bunch of revenue, a bunch of orders, just by sending out one mass text message is so powerful. It's so powerful. And the same thing with email too, right? Being able to send out an email and just saying, look, we're kind of slow this week. Let's drum up some business, and being able to send off one text message, one email, whatever, that's like Spider-Man type power. Great responsibility comes with that.
The results were almost instant. I mean, almost instant,
Yeah.
Because it was a blanket special. People were bringing in their comforters, clean full, it was
huge.
It drove us. So there's no way we're going to hit our, quota or whatever for the week. I mean, I kind of break things down by month, but our quota for the week we're not even going to become near hitting it. Now we're blowing it away with just one, and I think it cost me like $0.01 a text message to send it out, 1 penny. So it was like the return on dollar for dollar was good.
Yeah. And that's a huge tip. Just even if you only have a self-serve business and you don't have wash, dry, fold, or pick up and delivery, like if you have those, you absolutely probably are and should be collecting phone numbers, email addresses, etc., so that you can do stuff like this. But even if you have self-serve, you should be incentivizing, collecting that information, because you can do similar stuff with self-serve. Yeah. If Wednesdays are your slowest days, you can drum up business that way. Or if July is your slowest month because everybody's on vacation, you can do a beach towel special or whatever, right? Like there's things you can do to try to drum up business. So you should be collecting and utilizing wisely those phone numbers and email addresses.
Yeah. I agree. And then it's like the laundry cards. They have the opportunity to register them. Yep. And I tell them you want to register it because if you leave here and there's $20 on it and you lose it, you don't lose the $20. You can come in here, enter your information. You pay $1 or $2 for the new card, but you get your money. But through that, that's another avenue I'm looking at when this other store does open. I can just log on my computer and send everybody, $5 worth of free laundry to get them $5, load $5 on their laundry card. If they haven't been here in X amount of weeks or something, if I know they're gone, to try to bring them back in the store. Yeah. And I think, to stay competitive, you got to utilize these higher tech or whatever, all the options at your disposal. You've got to utilize them all because it's tough. I mean, I'm there no matter what. I got this business. I got the lease. I paid for it. Like whether it makes money or it's losing money, I got it. So I got to try to utilize everything to keep myself in the black.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's huge, and you kind of just like slipped it in there casually, like it was no big deal. But I think that's a huge deal. They did that. So that's a huge win. So, I mean, have you, in terms of growing that wash, dry, fold business, I mean, was it mostly through running ads? Was it word of mouth? Like, how did you actually gain all these new customers? So
I'm on a busy street in Boston. A lot of traffic drives by. So I went and I made a big banner and mounted it on the side of the building, wash and fold special. And I think a lot of people saw that. A lot of people were coming in and saying, I saw your banner. I saw your price. I didn't even know you guys were here. I didn't even know you guys did it. So that was huge for me. I know, that may not be an option for some people depending on their laundromat. But, I did Facebook ads, and I was seeing, you can tell by if they search for directions to store after they look at your ad. You can look at metrics to see if it's driven them. Instagram ads, and then just regular flyers around. We were hanging flyers in all the local businesses and telling them that we have a community board too if you want us to hang some flyers up. I had friends and people in the neighborhood who were passing out flyers, and a lot of people in the neighborhood, it's such a good neighborhood, and the people in there are such good people. They know you bought the business and they want to help. And it's like, they're like, I'm telling my sister, I'll tell my cousin, or like, can I have some of those flyers? I'll go put one in my apartment. I'll hang this up in my apartment building, So it was a collection of all those things that drove everybody in, and I try Google ads. I just don't know, being in such a big city, it's like, I don't know what the competitors are spending on Google ads. I don't know if I'm seeing, it's tough. I just, because you can spend an unlimited amount of money on Google ads.
Yeah.
And I don't need someone seeing my laundry. Not that I don't need them seeing it, but there are so many laundromats in the city of Boston. I just want my advertising to hit what's near me. I want a 1 mile, 2 mile radius, because no one's driving through Boston traffic from 5 miles to come to my store to drop off laundry. I know that, so it's like, I want to be specific. I want to target my area, hopefully give them a good service, and then they come back for it, if you could do that.
I got to tell you, as you're describing the community and them kind of wanting to help you out and rallying around and helping you. Listen, I don't know if you know this, but us Westies over here, we think you guys are all mean over there in New York, Boston, and it's not sounding like you guys are mean. No. So what's going on? What's the deal?
I lived in California. I lived, I was in Marietta for a while. I lived in San Diego, and, and I lived here. It's just, there's an edge to people on the East Coast, a little lack of patience maybe, but, all around, I think people in general are good.
Yeah.
So at the core of it, I think no matter where you are, if people can help, they generally try to, it's a win-win. They feel good for helping me, and I get a benefit for them helping. So everybody wins when you help each other,
Yeah. Well, and they probably see you helping them too by cleaning up the store and, doing all the stuff that you've done. So it's kind of
a store like that, you talk to the people, you get to know them, it's like.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and listen, my laundromats have all been in like the roughest of the rough areas around here in like LA and stuff. And one thing that I've learned is that 98% of people, even in the roughest of rough areas, are great people, by and large, right? They're great people. And it's really the 2% that makes a rough area or, generates an impression or a stereotype or something like that. So I'm joking. I just want you to know, I'm joking about you guys being mean.
No, I know.
But some of you are, but that's
sure.
Fine. It's no big deal.
Yeah. Especially driving. So you see it the most on the roads, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, we got our fair share of road rage over here too. Yeah. So that LA traffic. Okay. So you have, dude, you've been killing it, dude. I'm loving this. Just out of curiosity. Okay. I know this might be a little biased because you're on a Laundromat podcast here, but, going from when you were telling all your buddies, I'm buying a laundromat, to you bought one and now you're 8 months into owning it. Like, how are you feeling about your laundromat, owning laundromats in general? What's your overall impression? Is it what you thought?
It's better than what I thought. I like it. I'm not completely hands off, but I don't have to be there all the time. It's generating for the money, for the investment. It's generating the income it's supposed to. I had said last time we spoke, that, my main concern was I don't want to get in over my head. I don't want to buy a business, then I'm committed to doing all this stuff. But, I had said before, any problem that comes my way, someone has already had that problem and figured out how to fix it. So between online communities and just reaching out for help, there's really hasn't been anything that's, too overwhelming. But I tell my fiance, as soon as we, pay down a little bit of money we borrowed for this or whatever, and we own it whole, we should get another one, and then another one. And hopefully I'll I'll be an owner in a laundromat for the rest of my life. That's how I'm looking at it. I want to be retired, but still, have that as a source of income. It's great for cash flow, and it beats, the cash flow I'm getting on a 2-family or a 3-family. So it's just, it's been a great experience for me. It really has.
It's awesome. Well, I can't wait to be an old fart interviewing some young buck who's talking about you as the old owner who they had to get out so they could come in and modernize it and all that stuff. No, but
it'll be then,
no, I mean, the reason I ask is because, this business, I think, does that to people, where people get into it and they're like, this isn't even better than I expected. Like, this is even better than I thought. It's such like a cool people business. And, as long as you're doing it in a way that you're making money, like you're making money, doing something cool for the community appreciates it. So there's, kind of that aspect of it. And there's problems and things you got to deal with, and it's not totally passive and on all that stuff that, we've been talking about, but there's a lot of reward for owning a laundromat, not just financial, but joy and fulfillment that comes with owning it too, which is cool.
And I think a lot of people are curious, now that I actually bought it, all these people, a lot of people around me, they're always asking, how's the laundromat? Or like, the people, you run into people like, oh, I always thought that would be a good investment. Or I saw online, that's the, the best business to buy or whatever it is. And so it's, it's good. It's rewarding. It has been so far.
Well, listen, all those doubters that doubted you, send them to this episode because I got a message for them. How dare you? How dare you doubt Evan in his go-gettingness and making stuff happenness? You believe in him from now on. So you send him here because you're making it happen, dude. I love it. We got a couple segments. I mean, we've already covered a lot of the stuff. So some of this might be just repeat of what we already talked about. But one of them is secret sauce. And that's what's something you feel like is working well for you, or a tip that you have for existing owners besides burning down your competitor's laundromat. What's something that you feel like they could do to help them improve their business?
So for me, I just try to, I mean, like you said, it's repetitive. I try to stay in touch and active in whether it's the online community, or my old broker has helped me, or the laundromat owners in the area, because like I said, when I come into these problems at the store, I had this dryer that just would not stop giving me this error code when it was busy. And I talked to mechanics, I talked to all these people, and I got a message from one guy and said, listen, I had the same dryers, the same problem. If you take off the vent, I guarantee your backflow flapper has blown out. And that was it, and it fixed this problem that was ongoing for a couple of weeks, So if I just stay active in the community, I think it's, like I said, there's no problem that comes my way that I can't solve, because other than that, it's really just, enjoying it, everything's great. And then you get a phone call or whatever, and don't be afraid to get in and try to service your own machines, and learn your machines, because that's helped me a lot as well.
You're like the master of just dropping like mind-blowing, life-altering things in a casual way and glossing over it. But I think like the real secret sauce I'm taking away from this, like all that stuff is great, but the real secret sauce I'm taking away from this is this belief that you have that there's no problem that you can't solve. Like I think, a lot of people's fear, anxiety, even I look at my own experience, right? Where I bought this laundromat, everything went south on me. I was losing money. And I kind of turtled up and I stopped doing the things that would bring in new business to help because I was too scared to do them, right? Because I lost that belief that there was no problem that I couldn't solve. But I think that is like an insane secret sauce that you've got going for you right now, because it just gives you that confidence to move forward, to make moves, to make big decisions. Like you've made we talked kind of casually about a lot of really big decisions you make, going all card, going, digital with the software for your pickup or for your drop off laundry, like all these things we talk very casually about. Those are huge decisions in and of themselves, let alone buying a laundromat in the first place. Yeah. But dude, I think the real secret sauce in there is like, hey, you just kind of casually said, yeah, there's not a problem that I can't figure out, that I can't solve, especially with the help of the community and stuff. Like
Yeah. That's with the help of others, that's the caveat to that.
Yeah.
But that's been my experience. So yeah.
That's huge. Killer. Okay. Well, listen, great secret sauce. We've got another segment called Pro Tips. What about the newbies out there that use a little over 8 months ago who are trying to buy their first laundromat? You got any advice or input for those guys?
Yeah, I mean, it was the same thing, it's kind of, don't give up, I think if you're doing taking all the right steps, it's only a matter of time before, something comes your way. If you're listening to this podcast, that's a great start. It means you're interested in it, get involved in the online communities, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Laundromat Resource Group, ask questions. Don't be afraid to reach out to the brokers in the area, listen to them, sign NDAs, look at those numbers, get used to looking at them. And then, just be patient and keep on the track and something will come your way, Don't be afraid to walk away if it's not good, but when the right one comes, also don't be afraid to, take that step if that's what you want, I knew it was what I want, that's why I was adamant I was going to do it. I wasn't 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but if this is what you want, just keep it up and it'll happen.
That's great. Great advice there. And we kind of already talked about this a little bit, but out of curiosity, do you have any specific ambition in this business? I know you said hey, when we pay this down a little bit, we'll go out and get another one. Do you have here's my secret target of how many I want to have or how much revenue or something like that?
It's tough. Right now I'm grateful to just have what I have, but I mean, sure. In the background there is, so where I live, I'm a half hour south of Boston, and there is one guy who owns a laundromat in every single town around me. I know who he is, and they're all kind of named the same. And he's not my hero, but it's something to aspire to. I'm and he's got nice stores. I go in there, and I'm one day, it'd be nice to try to have that kind of portfolio in this area where, so yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It's overwhelming. I mean, to go from 0 stores to 1 stores to a lot of stores, it's a step-by-step process. So I'm going to try to I'll focus on the next one and then the next one and then the next one. And before you know it, you'll turn around one day and, it'll feel like 10 minutes, but 10 years will go by and you'll have 10 stores,
Yeah. You'll have to come back on here and tell us how you did it. That's what I'm excited about. Yeah. And I'm excited for you to build, your empire over there.
Hopefully.
But I mean, for whatever it's worth, I mean, it sounds like you're doing all the right things to set yourself up to be able to do that, right?
Sure.
Tough to own 10 stores or whatever if, you're all coin stores, right? Or, you're not running off some sort of software, I mean, it just sounds like you're setting things up to where your stores are nice. You're serving the community well, you're engaging well, you've got the right technology and all the thing. And there's no problem you can't solve, right? All the things are lining up to,
and I'm still getting email notifications the minute a laundromat goes for sale from, whether it's Loop.net or Biz by Sell. I'm still reaching out to brokers and I'm seeing what the store's about. There actually is one near me. I wish it was, it's a lot. It's expensive and a huge operation. I mean, when the right one comes by, I don't know, who knows? You never know the day before. You never know the morning you wake up. That's going to be the day. Your life changes. So, who knows?
Another sleeper quote right there. That was.
Oh,
I'm as a quote fan.
Yeah. I'm just all repeating stuff I've heard.
No, it's good stuff. Last kind of curiosity question is, I mean, do you? Is one of your goals to replace your income and not do your job? Is that a target for you?
Yeah. This store is doing so well. I mean, technically, I could live off of this store alone.
Until January.
I have a decent union job. I get good benefit. Maybe not if I have to pay for my own health care, put aside money for a 401k, a pension, an annuity, dental. But my goal is absolutely, I have a number in my head. I think around 50. Another 7 or 10 years, I want to be able to not have to go and work for someone else if I don't want to,
Yeah.
I'm fortunate. I don't mind what I do. The pay is good. The benefits are good, but I want to be able to be financial independence is the goal.
I love it. Well, I mean, that's the goal for most of us, right? If you're listening to this podcast, probably your goal.
I should have said through laundromats to end it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, the thing too about it is like, listen, laundromats are a vehicle, right? They're not the only vehicle out there. You've got some real estate. I've got some real estate. There's other assets, out there too. And, I'm sure you wouldn't mind if some other asset came along that was like, okay, here it is. And, now you don't have to work anymore. I'm sure you wouldn't mind that. Right. No. But laundromats, I think, are one of, if we're talking financial freedom, financial independence, we're talking cash flow, and there's just not too many better opportunities for cash flow than laundromats out there. So it's a great vehicle. You've hitched yourself to the right wagon, in my opinion.
Sure. And once you have one, it alleviates all the unknown, the fears of the unknown. So moving forward into the next one, when it comes time to analyze that, I won't, I'll have less fear. I'll be able to make better decisions, and I'll have more confidence that it'll work out. And then, obviously knowing the business and buying a second is a little different than having no idea what you're doing and just saying, fuck it, I'm going all in,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and quicker decisions too, once you have that experience. Sure. And, one thing I've seen is once you get your foot in the door, stuff just happens, right? Like opportunities come your way, deals come your way, and you're ready for them a lot of times too. So, dude,
that's the key, being ready for them. If opportunity comes and you're not ready, it's going to pass you by.
Yeah. This has been awesome, man. I super duper appreciate you coming on again for the third attempt here.
I'm glad the internet worked better this time.
Yeah. But I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. And like I said, so many just golden nuggets in there and lessons you've learned. And what I'm super pumped about is like, you're only 8 months into this journey right now. Like there's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot that's going to happen over the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years for you. And you've come like miles in 8 months, dude. Miles that you've gone in your business in 8 months. And I'm excited for the journey for you, which, selfishly, I want to have you back on down the line here so that we can get the update and hear what you've been working on, because I love what you're doing, dude. Yeah. Good stuff.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me.
Last question I have for you is, listen, the people who are listening to this, especially if they're still listening now, I'm sure they're as psyched up as I am. If they've got questions for you, they want to connect with you, or they want to sell you their laundromat, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
So you can email me. Probably email is the best way at etplaundry@gmail.com. That's just my initials, Evan, etp at gmail.com, etplaundry@gmail.com. The website for the store is Manny's Launderette.com. You can find us on Facebook at Manny's Launderette. Those are the best ways to get in touch with me. Just if you send me an email, I will respond.
I can't help but notice that you avoided telling us your middle name. So,
should I put my whole name out there?
No, I'm just kidding.
My name is Evan Thomas Papson.
I'm just kidding.
TP Laundry LLC, which I do business as Manny's Launderette, so I can be reached at that email. Yeah. I don't know what to put out there.
I was just giving you a hard time. So my middle name's Lewis, so I got made fun of, growing up and stuff. So but yours not even an embarrassing. I was hoping it was something embarrassing, honestly.
No. But it's just Thomas.
It's just a regular old cool name. Yeah. So anyways, dude, awesome. Thank you so much again for coming on, sharing so much really, really great stuff. Keep us posted over here. And if you're listening to this and you want to, reach out to Evan, there's that email address that'll be in the show notes as well. If you're on YouTube, it'll be down below. So you can reach out to him, and he says that he will email you back. So probably everybody should just email him, and let's put it to the test to see how many emails he can respond to.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. But dude, thank you again. And looking forward to staying in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
All right. Once again, awesome episode with Evan. Thank you again for coming on, dude. Listen, again, I say this all the time, but you will have wasted this entire time listening to this show if you don't put something into action. So pick something, one thing, anything, something that resonated with you. put it into action today if you can, this week at the very least. For me, I mean, listen, his secret sauce was stay in touch with other owners. I'm going to reach out to some other owners, some of you guys maybe out there who are listening, just check in, stay in touch. That's my action item. What's your action item? Share it with somebody. It'll make sure that you get it done. Maybe go to the forums, laundromatresource.com/forums, share it over there. And listen, we'll check you guys next week. And listen, it's the end of the year's coming. If you're listening to this thing when this is coming out, the end of the year's coming. Time to start making your plans for next year. Let's crush it together. We're all better when we're going together. We go farther, faster together. That's what I like to say. All right. We'll see you next week. Peace.